This first video is on modeling as a discipline. If you're following along in the PowerPoint slides that you have electronically, you can turn to page number 5 and you'll see a slide there that says, what is a financial model? This is often the first question that we ask in any financial modeling class. And quite simply, a financial model is just a virtual representation of a company. We're trying to take a company that exists and recreate it virtually in a spreadsheet. But what we're really trying to do by recreating the company is to create a forecast. At the end of the day, a financial model is just a forecast of the company's financial statements. We're trying to take their historical income statement, their cash flow statement, and their balance sheet and forecast these statements into the future. Now, how long in the future do we typically forecast? That depends. Most people tend to forecast 5 to 10 years. That's pretty common. Some models forecast less, some forecast more. But the bigger question really is why? Why do we forecast? Well, that's simply because financial models have become the most important decision-making tool in finance. People use their models to make all sorts of critical business decisions. So what types of decisions are people making based on their financial models? All sorts. People are making decisions about valuation and mergers and acquisitions. People are making decisions about investing in companies. They're making decisions about capital structure. Can a company support additional debt? We're making decisions on risk and trying to understand volatility using our models. And we're making all sorts of operational decisions. Companies use their models for planning, for their operational decisions around headcount and all sorts of other operational items. So it sounds pretty simple. All we need to do is take a company's historical statements and forecast them into the future. But there's a problem. The problem is that most financial models are a mess, and they make it very difficult for people to use them to make strong decisions. So who builds these models at companies, at banks that are very hard to understand, very hard to follow? Well, they're built by finance professionals, by accountants, intelligent people. The issue is they've never been taught about the discipline of modeling. And what we're trying to convey in this course is that modeling is a very multidisciplinary skill. To be a good financial modeler, you need to have a number of different skills and then be able to pull them all together. They fall into two categories. We need to have a number of strong technical skills, but we also need to have a number of business skills. If you're looking at page 5 in the slides, you can see that in the technical category, we need to have strong Excel skills. This is the tool that we use, so we need to know how to use some of the most important features in order to build our models. We also need to have a strong sense of design. We always tell people in classes that the number one reason why financial models fail is because of poor design. If a model's not properly structured and organized, it will be extremely difficult for users to follow and to understand. We also need to understand logic, model logic, the presentation, and these skills fall into the category of technical skills we need. But we also need to have a number of good business skills to build a financial model. We need to have some decent accounting skills. You don't need to be an accountant, but you have to understand the integration of a company's financial statements and what all the line items mean. We need to understand something about finance because we're going to be using our models to make financial decisions. By saying engineering, we just mean that you need to understand a little bit about the operations of the company and how the business actually works. So those are the skills needed to build a powerful and effective financial model. And what we always tell people is that a good financial model needs to work in two different ways. When you go back and take a look at some of your own models, here's how you can evaluate whether your own models are well built and whether they are strong. Number one, a good model needs to work electronically. What we mean by that is that every formula needs to be obvious and make sense. If I build a financial model and email it to my boss or my client, they need to be able to open it up on their screen, click through every cell, and be able to understand every single formula as though it's telling them a bit of a story. Line by line, they should be able to feel like they could actually take over the model and be able to use it and run it. But number two, we like to tell people that a good model needs to work on paper. It needs to be a powerful tool that can communicate messages on paper. And very often people don't think that way. Why is that so important? Well, because even in this day and age, most major decisions are made when senior professionals review some sort of a document or a model on paper. Around a boardroom table, people will open a document and use that to help make their decisions. So we need to ensure that our models can be printed and used to make sound financial decisions. Our goal in this course is that you can come away with the skills required to build models that work effectively electronically, can work effectively on paper, so that ultimately your readers and users can make the best financial decisions.